Howdy, everybody. Welcome on into the cargo bay where it's time for a little bit of hobby talk.
Hobby talk.
How are you, BC?
Oh boy, shaking off the rust a little bit here. I haven't done a hobby talk in 2 whole weeks, and boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, our audience has been just clamoring for the hobby talk. They said, we don't care about your pack openings. We don't care about you being your blaster boys getting back to your roots. Give us the hobby talk. And you know what? We're here for you.
That's right, BC. We listened to the demands of our audience, and we got a special hobby talk today, BC. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We're going to talk a little bit about high tech because there's a new high tech set on the way. But more importantly, I think we're introducing 2 new reoccurring segments.
What?
Whoa!
2 new segments? Listen, we take a couple weeks off. We get the creative juices flowing. We come back with hard-hitting segments that we know you cargo babies are going to love.
BC,
probably.
Is it recurring or reoccurring?
Recurring.
Recurring. That's what I said, but it is recurring means reoccurring.
I don't think. Yeah, recurring. I don't think reoccurring is wrong. I just think recurring is. Now I'm in my head about this, and I feel really bad.
You heard it here, folks. 2 new recurring segments, which are we're gonna do what's it worth segments, where we talk about card pricing your cards, what prices do you buy cards at, and also the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame. Blue? Is that Blue's Clues reference?
We got a clue. It's a clue. I'm committed to doing the horn every time we say the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame now. So just so you know, that's what's going to happen, okay?
Love it. If you hear it from me, it's an accident and it didn't come out of my mouth. Don't forget, everybody out there, to like and subscribe. BC, we've crossed that 300 subscriber threshold and have firmly stopped.
People stop subscribing. Well, people said if you're not going to give us hobby talk, we're not going to subscribe to your content. So we crave the subscribers. I've been lacking sleep knowing that the masses aren't coming in for us talking about top Star Wars trading cards, one of the nichest card markets there is. So we'll do the best we can to open the Cargo Bay doors for everybody.
Yeah, if you don't care about Star Wars or trading cards, just come on in to have a nice thing to watch, right? This appeals to people who aren't interested in cards.
Totally.
To make it more niche, BC, this card here I'm featuring on the docket is from Shatterpoint, the Mace Windu book, the now Legends Mace Windu's Heart of Darkness, essentially, which is my #1 recommendation for a Star Wars novel.
That's really interesting because I'm just having this idea for the first time. What if we kept in line with great literature meeting Star Wars and did like Anakin in Catcher in the Rye? What if we did a Sheev Palpatine as a Great Gatsby?
Ooh, BC, some of our favorite senators showing up to Gatsby's place.
That's what I'm saying.
Palpatine's palace, perhaps?
Maybe part of his Sith Lord legend is that he's a jilted lover of some kind.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I read that Palpatine book. I don't know if Palpatine. I think he's kind of had no love interest. I could be wrong. Anyway,
that's fine.
Yeah, that sounds great, BC. I think that's how we make some moolah. We could probably find some works out of copyright. Maybe a Winnie the Pooh is now in the public domain, so we could maybe
is Chewbacca Pooh Bear?
Chewbacca could be Pooh Bear. We could do Grogu in the Thousand Acre Wood.
I guess the Ewoks kind of make sense as Pooh Bears.
Of it could just be all the different Star Wars cute and cuddlies hanging out in the Thousand Acre Wood. Salacious Crumb is Piglet.
Listen, Disney, if you just want to send us a check right now, you can start printing money for that idea.
Please send us a check, Disney.
Please.
All right, let's move on to high tech. High tech coming out. BC, I can't remember how to talk about this. This is where the show crashed last time.
Yeah, full transparency for the viewers out there. This is attempt number 2. So I was come in close for this, everybody. I was fibbing when I said I came up with those literature ideas just off the cuff that time. I did it in the last recording, and I tried my darndest to make it seem like it was a brand new idea. My acting skills could probably use a little bit of work, but just bear with us as we try to talk about high tech for the second time, and then we'll get into some new stuff after this. But this one, we're really going to have to summon, something deep to be able to go back to original thoughts for high tech. Let me pose the thought to you that you questioned me last time. What do you think about Star Wars high tech?
I'm sorry, BC. I just got all these lamb hairs in my eyes from when the wool was pulled over them.
I was wondering what you were doing. I was like, man, I was talking far too long, and your bit was just going and going. I was like, oh god, I should keep talking and making you do this.
I finally tear my eyes out live on camera.
Okay, good. The wool has been removed from your eyes.
BC, I don't think I've ever held a high-tech card in hand that I remember, so I think as you mentioned last time we recorded this, it's hard to talk about cards without having them in hand.
Yeah.
They appeal to me in some ways from what I've seen of them. I get the idea of why some people might really like these. For me, it is just a bridge too far of... These are no longer trading cards. This is something different. These are plastic things. It's similar to die cuts for me, where it's like, I'm sure if I got one in hand, I'd be like, hey, this is pretty cool. But I need more excuses to stay away from Star Wars cards and not spend money on them. So I have chosen this as an excuse to be like, me and high tech, we're not going to cross paths on purpose. But that's just my personal preference. I want them on paper. And for a lot of people, I like Chrome cards. For a lot of people, they feel the same way I do about high tech about Chrome. So.
Very true. I mean, you're a cardboard man. You're a ride or die. So I get it. I feel, I guess, sort of similar. I don't have the plastic acetate, whatever these are made of, sort of aversion. But I've also never really held them in hand. I will say the design has never particularly appealed to me. I mean, some of them I think are kind of cool, but in general, I just think the card design is kind of like, I don't know. Not always caught my eye, so it's hard for me to say with this particular set, as they've not been officially released. This was announced as a New York Comic-Con exclusive, first to market, which is starting today, October 12th, where you can go and pay tops $100 at the Topps booth for, I think it's one pack of cards per box on high tech, and you get at least 2 numbered parallels guaranteed, and you can look for autographs, which appear not to be guaranteed, and there are 3 high tech patterns to find in this. So I guess next week we'll have maybe a better idea of what some of these actually look like as they get out into the wild. But for me, it's kind of hard to say. I've never really, it doesn't really appeal to me, but maybe they'll look cool.
I will say, Not Sports Cards posted some SGC returns of high tech, and I was like, ooh, those look really good in an SGC slab.
The black border on a high tech, I think, looks way better than they do in a PSA slab.
Yeah.
That said, I generally prefer PSA, but for like my personal collection. But in terms of the eye appeal, they look amazing in the tux of the SGC slab.
Yeah, so let us know if you're a high-tech collector out there, what some of your favorite high-tech cards are, and maybe when we get images of these, BC, I'll post them on our community tab or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, hope everybody out there who's buying these gets their good pulls. When you open that box, look for autographs. You gotta look around.
You gotta look for
them.
You gotta dig around. You gotta rip the entire box apart. Maybe they hid it underneath.
Maybe it's
You gotta look
inside
for
of
'em.
a card.
You gotta
in
look
there.
hard.
I would like these if they were made out of transparent steel. How about that? All right. What's it worth, BC? Let's talk about pricing some cards.
Let's do that. I think we wanted to do this primarily because if you're newer or newish to Star Wars cards and maybe you've opened a hobby box and you pulled something out of there and you just said, well, what the heck do I have? How much is this worth? Pretty common experience, I would say. Some people want to know the value just to have an idea of what they have. Some people might want to know the value for the reasons of selling the card. I pulled up, this was the card that I was doing some investigation on, is my of 25 Galactic Visions. It's the number 1 card in the Galactic Vision set. This was a super cool pull that I got out of that 2023 Chrome Galaxy box that we opened. Shout out to our video. Go check it out. Watch us rip it. It's super fun. But this hasn't been sold at auction or on eBay. So it's one of those things where it's like, how much is the card that I have worth if I were looking to, price it out, sell it? So this is kind of an example of, if you don't have a direct, like, 1-for-1, this card has previously sold for X amount of dollars. Your comp, what do you do? Where do you go? My primary resource is, I always go to 130point.com. I'm sure a lot of viewers are familiar with this. If you're not, basically just combs eBay sales results and will post the results. What I like about this in particular is that if it's an item that is like a best offer, it will tell you what the offer was that it sold for. eBay doesn't know. I don't think eBay does that. If you look at their sold listings,
right, it
just has that it sold or like an offer was accepted, but this will give you the amount that it was accepted for. So I pulled some kind of similar cards, since there's not a direct 1-for-1 of the Ronin, just to kind of like, all right, maybe we start to get kind of a ballpark idea of what this would be worth. So I grabbed the of 99, which had 13 bids and sold for $21.50. I think that's a good deal on a beautiful green card. That's just me. There was a 199 that sold for $18.99. So, I mean, not a big price difference between a card that's 100 more rare than the other one.
A good place to say, a lot of times the lower numbered parallels are worth more. Sometimes the higher numbered parallels are easier to collect, so people are more likely to go for full sets, which means that sometimes your of 99s wind up selling for higher prices than your of 75s or of 50s.
Yeah.
It just depends on, how many people out there are trying to complete sets or whatever.
Well, and you made a really good point about the 2021 Chrome Galaxy, that the Atomics a lot of times sell for more because of 150 is easier to collect and you would think would be less expensive, but it's just because it's easier to obtain because there's more of them. Sometimes that price differential isn't huge between a 150 and a 99. So it's just one of those tricky things. You kind of take the information you get. I also looked at, so there's another Ronin card in the set that's got the R2 in it, so it's a similar kind of image. It's got that big sort of kind of Japanese style, almost like Japanese flag style image on there. These are 2 of 25s that sold. One sold for $127.50. One sold for $40.
Get to market fast, baby. We're always telling you, get to market fast.
The cargo bay will tell you right now, get to market fast. And just to jump back to high tech, if you do want to spend $100 on a box and want to try to make money off of it, list your parallels immediately and sell them, because that's probably the most you're going to get for it. It's very rare that the value just like climbs over time.
Unless it's a long-term hold.
Unless it's a very long-term hold. But a lot of these it's the quick flip and you're basically back to even, and you've got some base cards. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of how it feels.
you want the people who have way more money than I do, who are eager to get their sets together and make sure they're not going to miss out on,
Yeah,
like a hunt
yeah,
to be
totally.
fighting over your card.
Yeah.
Because a few weeks later, even sometimes people have moved on and they don't have the
Yeah.
fire for the set
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean, I think that's always, at least for you and I, like if we pull parallels of stuff that's not like part of our PC, it's like, well, let me move this immediately, and
Yeah.
I can use that to, put into a PSA of a vintage car, or I can get a Chrome Galaxy that I've been, eyeballing, or I can use it to buy groceries this week.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, you typically will get more bang for your buck early, as is evidenced by this being sold September 6th at auction for 127, and then 2 weeks later for $40.
And there might be
So
some other factors there. It looks like I can't tell about the centering, on these
it's the
cards.
same card too. It's the 6 of
Oh, yeah, it's the
25.
same image. Oh, weird. Well, that could be a thing too where someone didn't pay and they had to
Possible.
relist. We should also mention shill bidding is a thing.
Ugh.
Like, so you have to take all of this from 130 point with a grain of salt, because unless you're the person who sold the card, you never can be 100% sure everything was on the up and up.
Yeah, shout out to all you shill bidders out there. I think you're horrible. Thanks for watching. I do just want to say that that price disparity. Whenever I'm factoring into like my pricing, I'll always, if I'm aiming to sell, I'll go over of what it sold for and just say I'm taking offers.
Yeah.
It's like I'll put the price on it that I think is comparable. I like the number one better than this number 11 version. The of 99 sold for 21.50. The 199 sold for about $20. So, obviously north of $20. I'd probably list as a best offer like $100. I think that's a pretty decent starting point. If someone's motivated, maybe they'll say, I'll take it outright. Maybe you sit with the card for a little while, field some offers, but you don't want to overprice your stuff because people just go, whatever. You're out of your mind. Like if I said, I'll take 350, a lot of times I'm doing this through Facebook. I don't sell on eBay. If I'm posting it on Facebook, if you say 350, people are just going to scroll past it because like your pricing is out of whack. It's like, obviously this Ronin card is not a $350 card. So people are less likely to make offers if they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to offend you if I offer you $80 and you want 350. So it's like, you got to kind of price it in a reasonable ballpark if you are motivated to sell and put money into groceries or another card or whatever it is, whatever reason you're selling for.
And on if you're selling off of eBay and you're using eBay comps, you got to remember that depending on shipping and that 13% eBay fee and 20% on high-end cards on anything over whatever it is, 250 or something, you got to build that into your pricing as well. People will expect to get a better deal. Is that a loath cat on your?
It's got a loath cat here. The loath cat has made an appearance and would like to join the cargo bay today. Apparently,
always welcome in the cargo bay.
So yeah, just kind of my thinking on some of this stuff was, I don't know what this card is worth because there's not a direct sale. I don't have anything to look at. But if I did want to sell, or if I'm looking to add to my PC, it's a card that I think I could sell because it doesn't necessarily have a great place. I'm not sad if I hold on to it though, because I think it's awesome and I love Visions. But if there is one that's like, oh, maybe I'm looking at a card for my PC that's more than I want to pay for it, I'll go to these sorts of things that I've got usually just sitting around my desk. I'm like, I can probably sell this and put that towards something else, So I was kind of like, that's just my starting point is always 130 point if I do consider, wanting to sell something.
Yeah, and for cards over a certain amount, I would usually recommend listing on eBay for a little bit at or either at market value or a little bit above and fielding offers. If you are going to list something at auction, make sure you're doing it at the right hours and make sure that it's a good listing, because great way to get a deal on cards is finding listings that are at odd hours, ending in odd hours, or have a weird title.
I mean, sometimes like you do score big on some cards. They're like, oh, someone didn't have a great listing, or there's a typo or whatever. Yeah. So a good insight into that as well. But yeah, also if you're going to go to auction, know that it's something that people are going to auction on those. Otherwise, you could lose your pants on a card. And not get the value you're looking for too. So know that if you're going to throw something on auction, that it's going to be that you feel you're going to get the value out of it. Otherwise, I just like the best offer, where you set your kind of your price and then field offers and take whichever one you're comfortable with too.
Yeah, if you've got like I said, a higher end card, anything above like $40, I think that's a good option, versus the old auction block. BC, I am currently selling a card. This is a 1 of 1 here. So I got to pay some rent. Talked about this a little bit in our Superfractor episode. From the High Republic insert set of Finest. So there is a comp on a High Republic card available, and it's only this card that I can find, which was listed at $1,225, and then best offer accepted at $800. So I'm in a situation where I want to move this card quickly, right? With these really high-end cards, a good option is to list it high and let it sit for a long time and wait for the right collector, because, what's it worth? It's worth what someone's going to pay for it. Now, this isn't a card that I really wanted to get rid of, but sometimes you got to move some assets around to stay in your apartment. So I would comp this, I would say, hey, there's a comp out there at 800. I think this Bel Zettifar card is more desirable than Chancellor Lena So. It is similar in that it's also someone with their pets, which I think is cool. But more unique, I think, is a Jedi who has a Charhound sidekick, basically breaking the Jedi laws of attachment. And also Bel Zettifar is an up-and-coming character. There's a comic book of him that's selling high graded, his new comic book cover. I think that this card has potential to grow. So with this comp, I think it would be reasonable to get $800 for it. But what I am doing now is I have this on Facebook available at $650, partially because of Facebook kerfuffle that my first listing went up with no images somehow, which is frustrating.
But it did go up with images initially. They just disappeared.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, that's really helpful.
Facebook was great for that, yeah.
But if I don't have any bites on Facebook, what I think is a reasonable price for this card, I also have this listed on eBay at $1,000 or best offer. And again, even though this is already authenticated by eBay, I think it has to go through their authentication process again. So it's like a 20% fee we're talking.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, which is painful. So, what would I accept on this? I'm not quite sure, but I think between the $600 and $800 range is reasonable for this card right now. Now, I could be proven wrong, and I could wind up having to move this thing for much lower than that, just because I got to get it out the door, but. If I were trying to sell this over the long term, which if I was doing that, I would just keep it. I would also list it at $1,200 like this person and just wait around for several months, is what I think I would do. So,
Feel free to not answer this or tell me off air. How much did you have into?
I think this card was
Bell.
Over $400. I think it was like with shipping, it was like $440. Again, I really wanted this card. You'll definitely make,
yeah,
and I thought
in the long run, you'll make money off of the card, probably.
Yeah. I thought worst case scenario, if I have to, survive, like, because I felt bad buying it, right? Like, I think it was a thing where I sold some stock to get this card. I was like, I like the growth potential of this card more than
Yeah.
the stock that has
Right.
been sitting even for 3 years.
Right.
Yeah, I like having this in my collection, and if I have to, I can move it for, I think, 300 at the worst, at that time. And superfractors have gone up in general since that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I again, I think because of that superfractor growth and because of this recent comp, it's worth more than that. But the market will let me know, BC.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the High Republic thing is interesting because it is to like by definition for me a speculative thing.
Yeah.
Like the novelization stuff is really popular. I mean, the books are the ones that I've read or have even like looked at reviews on are good.
Yeah.
So the characters are popular among a smaller sect of the book reading portion. They are slowly making their way into larger Star Wars content. I think we just announced there's the kids show on Disney, the
Oh
Young
yeah.
Jedi or whatever. I think some of the High Republic characters are making their way into that, which prominently features Yoda, who's of course one of the main characters in the High Republic era. So I mean, we are starting to see them move into more sort of mainline content. And again, the speculation is who knows what's going to happen with Star Wars. I mean, just in terms of movies and TV going forward, there's some stuff that's been announced, but not a ton. It does seem like the novelization is kind of laying groundwork for this is an era that could be explored more later. So.
Well, that was when I bought this card at 400 or a little over 400. Part of the risk there was the High Republic kills people off. Like, it kills major characters off. So me thinking it's worth more than that now is partially based on my risk of what could happen to this whiny young Jedi. I think that he's primed to become a cooler character over time.
Right.
And that has indeed happened. Like, if you look at the most recent comic cover that is a cover of Bel Zettifar and Ember, the Charhound, he's older and he looks awesome. Like, instead of being like smiley with his lightsaber out, he's a much cooler character. He's witnessed death and destruction and overcome it. So yeah, that is part of this is me thinking my speculation should pay off a little bit at this point, because I was right up until this point, but it could also be he could be dead. Next book comes out and he suffers a gruesome fate. I don't know.
Well, this one, there's a lot of room for fluctuation with the Geode. That one's just a rock. The value's probably not going to change on the rock too much over time.
I don't know. I think that somebody out there has that Geode superfractor. And I think when we make our list of the weirdest Star Wars cards of all time,
that's got to be on there. Yeah, that has to be. I love that card.
Yeah,
when I saw the set released and I was like, just going through all of them, I was like, there's just a rock. Just an image of a stone of some kind. That's fantastic. Shout out Star Wars for just always raising the bar.
I was sick to my stomach after we mentioned the Geode last time because I had no money to buy cards, and I was like, I hope I have a gold parallel of that Geode. I don't think I ever managed to get one. And I checked, I do have a Geode at least. Nice. So anyway,
heck yeah.
That's our first What's It Worth segment. If you have questions about weird things, I don't know, maybe we'll put your card in a segment. We'll keep doing this just because it's the most common question I see in relation to Star Wars cards.
I got this weird thing. How much value is it? What can I get for it?
Yeah,
it's I'd say weekly, and at least in the Facebook group, someone's like, how much money do I have sitting in this piece of cardboard? And they talk like that too.
They do.
That's their voice. Yeah,
a lot of times. We didn't really mention condition. Obviously, condition is super important. Centering, scratches, corners, and your card is always worth more if you can take good pictures of it. Your blurry, bad picture is not going to help you sell your card.
As a buyer, I hate listings that have terrible of the image that I'm trying to purchase.
It seems like you're trying to sell me something that's in bad shape, is what that seems
so
like.
don't do that if you are trying to sell and you want to know what it's worth. It's going to be less if you don't have good pictures.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Take our advice with a grain of salt. And speaking of grains of salt, BC, I thought maybe there would be a grain of salt on this picture when I hit the
I was
slide.
really wondering what the transition
I
was
took a
going to be there.
gamble and I lost.
One of our famous grain of salt slides wasn't next.
Well, we are introducing the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame, BC. Should we talk about what this is and what the rules are?
Very stringent rules, of course, here in the Cargo Bay. We are obviously no nonsense guys.
Yeah.
We take
Nothing
work
silly
and our-
around here, BC.
We don't do any silly time on this program. We're famously very serious. So yes, there are strict and stringent rules for the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame. But let's just start first with this. What we say the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame. What are we even talking? What is that?
I think the most important thing to consider, kind of a good summary of this is, what's some dumb thing we can post on our Instagram every week? No, the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame is going to be a highly exclusive list of the best Star Wars cards of all time.
In the grand tradition of halls of fame, you've got Cooperstown in New York, the Baseball Hall of Fame. You've got Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't know where basketball or any other sports are, but those are the two that I know. Obviously, we're enshrining athletes. Here we will be enshrining Star Wars trading cards into the Hall of Fame, into the pantheon of what we deem as the most important cards for Star Wars, iconic cards. So what we'll do is occasionally we'll say, you know what, we're going to induct someone in the Hall of Fame. However, there are rules. For each card that we induct, that character can only have one card per calendar year.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any repeats of the same character. So we are going to do new characters who would be eligible for another card in the Hall of Fame down the road. So that's the rule. And because we are a benevolent show, we will be opening up the viewer submissions for Hall of Fame candidates, and maybe even opening up a little democratic process and having a poll decide which card will be in the Hall of Fame.
We're also going to wield our power as the workers here in the Cargo Bay. And occasionally we'll just make the decision ourselves. So there.
Absolutely. Absolutely we will. As we have done for our first inductee into the Hall of Fame, it really truly can only be one card for the initial inductee into the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame. And if you want to try this and see if it works and tell me if it does,
okay,
let me know.
I'm
the
gonna
grand
try
reveal works.
A swish. How about that, VC?
Okay, all right.
Swish. Hey, look at that, VC.
Beautiful, beautiful enshrinement. Of course, the alpha of Star Wars trading cards, the iconic 1977 Luke Skywalker, #1. What else could it have been for our Hall of Fame inductee #1, firmly enshrined into the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame? I said earlier in this episode I was going to do that trumpet sound every time I said the Cargo Bay Hall of Fame. I've missed about 50 at this point because I've repeated it so many times. So at the end of the video, I'll just trumpet all the way out.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Great, cool.
I might do some digital insertion of all over this.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, BC, I mean, obviously the Star Wars trading card. This is highly sought after. Everybody wants one of these things. It is the first card of the first Star Wars set, and it is, of course, Luke Skywalker, the protag of our original trilogy. So, there you go. I don't think there's much more to say about it, except this was the choice, the obvious choice to start our Hall of Fame.
Stay tuned for future inductees as the Hall of Fame continues to grow.
And no more Luke this year.
That's right.
All right, VC. I'm going to leave the Hall of Fame in the dust as we go to the polls.
Take off. Let's go to the polls.
We asked 13 days ago. Oh my goodness.
Whoa, whoa.
Long time ago.
Whew. In a galaxy far, far away.
How many non-sketch official one-of-one cards do you have in your collection? The majority of the voters out there have no one-of-one cards in their collection. Followed by one, which I kind of like that. I like that the second highest is I have just one-of-one. It makes it feel more special. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few with 5 or less, and we have 4% of the vote coming in with 6 or more. And check it out, we didn't have any liars on the poll this week. Nobody said, I own every one of them, which I was surprised.
I'm surprised that you cargo babies behaved yourselves and smashed that I roll our poll. So appreciate that for not being liars and deviants. To me, I do, of course, fall into the none category, as previously discussed in our Superfractor episode. I'm intrigued by the mini, which is a 5 or more. There's a 51 votes. That's at least a couple people, couple high rollers on the mini.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Could be high rollers.
Could
be early strikers, BC. Maybe some.
That's true.
I do remember there's some people on Facebook who snapped up a lot of those 2021 Superfractors. Whew.
Sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah,
sitting on a gold mine.
Wish I had one of those. But yeah, it's a cool answer. I will, once I move this Bell Zedifar, I will have one remaining one-of-one BC. Which will be from that Visions season 2. Topps Now set. So,
yeah.
There you go. I'll still have one.
That's cool.
Moving on. Were you familiar with Topps Yamakatsu Star Wars cards or R2-D2 Space Ice or stickers? That's a typo. Stickers before watching our latest video. 37 votes, 73% of people reporting no, which makes me happy because I didn't know about the Space Ice cards until doing that video.
I'd vaguely heard of Yamakatsu, hadn't really looked in or spent any time with them. R2-D2 Space Ice was truly a revelation for me.
I remember sending you some Yamakatsu cards long ago, being like, look at these beautiful postcard things. But that was probably, well, heck, we're old now, BC. The cargo bay's been around for several years.
We've been around for so long now.
It's been a long time ago. We had 16% of the voters who are very well educated on Star Wars trading cards that were familiar with both. 11% were familiar with only Topps Yamakatsu Star Wars cards, which I think those are easier to find on eBay than Space Ice. Yeah. Nobody was just familiar with Space Ice, which makes sense. If you know about Space Ice, you know about Yamakatsu, I think.
Space Ice, was that New Zealand?
Yes, it was.
We clearly need to grow our New Zealand market.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're all over the R2-D2 Space Ice stickers. But so shout out to anyone in New Zealand if you're watching.
Yeah, well, surely we got someone out there. I think our audience is still 99% male, so maybe we will get a woman or two to watch the show before we get more New Zealanders. But who knows? I doubt it. I haven't looked at our demographics as far as our global reach much, BC.
No, it's been a while since I've done a dive into the analytics.
Yeah, it's usually a depressing place to be. Our current poll, BC, pick one of these top Star Wars sets to resurrect. Wide Vision, Galaxy Paper, Galactic Files, Illustrated, or Black and White. What you picking, BC?
Ooh, I like this. I think, to piss off non-sports cards, I'll say Wide Vision. No, I'm just kidding. For me, that's tough. Galaxy Paper is really intriguing because I would be under the assumption that there would be new artwork in that is either never before seen or at least fairly rare or uncommon. But I do like Galactic Files too. I think I'm actually intrigued by the results of this one.
Yeah, I'll be curious.
I don't want to sway everyone too much, but I think the Galaxy and the Galactic Files, I feel like that's a highly contested race between those two, but I could be wrong. We'll find out.
I genuinely was gonna say Wide Vision too, just because I think people would be mad about it people. I think it
Oh
would be
boy.
best for the conversation.
Oh, it'd be
Because a lot
hilarious
of people would be
if
like, "What are they
if they
doing
did.
printing this trash?"
They'll be like, well, you know, we only gave you one season of trading, but we're gonna do the final seasons as wide visions.
It would make sense if Andor came out and it was a wide vision set.
I would flip my lid if they did that. I'd buy every single one. I'd get all those special binder pages just for wide vision cards.
Yeah.
I'd be all over it. But man, I'm in the bag for Andor. What
Well,
can I say?
y'all let us know out there what do you want to come back? We've seen high tech resurrected. What's next? And here's our living set cards for the week, BC. Beautiful cards.
The art is fantastic.
Yes.
I think we all know what I'm about to comment upon.
I'll follow suit. Go ahead, BC.
Really love the IG-12 card.
That's not what I was expecting you to say.
I was just we're gonna backdoor Grogu into every single thing now. So we've got the training droid, Grogu. We've got IG-12, which doesn't even include all of the remnant corpse of IG-11's head. So that's not part of it. Again, I'm in no way knocking the artist. The image is fantastic. I'm a little over Grogu'd at this point on trying to shove Grogu into Topps now or Topps living set cards. Like what is the next thing if we are going to slide him in? Is it his bassinet as a character that's got him in it? They're like, oh, card 472, Grogu's bassinet. And then it's just a Grogu and his bassinet?
Grogu's big dumb Mandalorian plate. Grogu's mithril.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Babu Fricks, but Grogu's gonna be in it, you know? It's gonna be that. I don't know. Like, it's a cool image. I just wish they would have included the rest of, I guess, IG-12's head in it, at least.
Well, this is really stretching the what is a character pretty far. Because, again, IG-12 is just a desecrated corpse. That is one of my favorite characters, just completely disrespected is what this is. And... I mean, what? There wasn't an IG-12 already. There's an IG-88. There's an IG-11. I guess maybe there's an IG-77 and an IG-66. There's not an IG-12 until they call this vehicle IG-12. But I'm gonna say it.
Vehicle's the nicest way to put that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's the mechanized corpse of IG-11
of a hero, of a beloved hero that was a statue. Yeah. Again, I did not hate season 3 of Mando. I found a lot to enjoy in it, but I'm gonna say it. This is the tipping point for me. I'm an official Grogu hater, BC. I am now. I am thoroughly over Grogu. I was never the target audience for Grogu anyway, but I appreciated how many people it brought into Star Wars. I wanted Grogu to stay gone after season 2. I thought that was such a brave choice to send Grogu on Grogu's way for a long time.
That was my biggest complaint once we got to Book of Boba Fett, which was a stinky dookie of a show, and season 3 of Mando, which I didn't like that much, was it's like, we got rid of Grogu by having Luke Skywalker carry him off. And I was like, great, let's just go back to Mando and bounty hunting and Mandalore. And they're like, no, we got to go get the baby. We need the baby and everything. He can't talk. We're going to stick him in the mechanized corpse of one of our favorite characters, and he's going to smash a button that says no. Okay, that seems great. That seems like exciting storytelling. Oh, wait, not for me. This is not for me at all. Like, we got rid of Grogu. He was great for 2 seasons. He had a fantastic ending. He got to fly off in an X-Wing with Luke Skywalker. And then immediately Disney, I don't know if this is true, Disney was like, you better bring that baby back right now because we got a lot of plushies to sell.
Yeah.
Again, that's me being cynical. It's just how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're probably right in calculating that a lot of their audience is only their audience for Grogu, so, you know, whatever. I'm not in charge here, but I am I'm good on Grogu for a while. Hot takes coming out of the cargo bay, BC.
Oh, ooh, scorching hot over here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, again, just really, really sad about what happened to IG-11. Surely they got that IG head at the Rebel bar. They're gonna bring IG-11 back, I would
He's gotta come
assume.
back, you know.
And I hope
Come back.
IG is really mad about how they treated.
Thanks
the
for
show.
putting a baby corpse in me. That was my terrible impression of.
I thought it was good.
No, thank you.
And then we have the Reek.
Like OTT, yeah.
Which I have
the Reek is sick as hell.
No problems with the Reek. I like the Reek. I like the Accolade. I like the Nexu.
I wasn't aware that his name was Reek, or their name. I assumed male, but it could be anything. I was unaware that was the name, but it seems kind of offensive. But you know,
as if it reeks. It's
stinky. It's like a stinky. It's a stinker.
Yeah, could be. I just want to know how they got that ring in its nose. Seems like a terrifying prospect.
I feel like probably from childhood, you know. It's one of those things where you pierce the baby's ear, but you put the ring in its nose.
By the way, if you need your baby's ear pierced, I will do it. I need work. Hire me.
He'll sterilize the needle and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
We got to get that immune system going. Next.
Perfect.
Now Grogu would look good with some earrings. Like
I think some circular, like all down,
all the way down.
Yeah,
I want to see
and
Grogu's
maybe like a big gauge in the middle of one of the ears.
And then in season 7, you know, the gauges are out. Got tired of wearing them, and it's just the hanging,
the saggy.
I think this is good.
I think, you know, he's a 50-year-old baby, but if he's a 100-year-old, I think it's probably the look they should go for.
100-year-old what?
A 100-year-old teen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What did you think I said?
And at that point, Mando is really old, so Mando is dying as Grogu is reaching the "I hate you, Dad" face.
It's like, I'm done. Please just be nice to me at the end. Whatever, Dad. I didn't want to go on those space adventures anyway. Tired of force healing you.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, we got a lot of good ideas. Disney, hit us up.
Let us know. We're happy to give you all these brilliant ideas.
What's next? That's it. Bye-bye. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit us up on our socials, or email us. And, hey, you could be featured on the Cargo Bay.
What a treat.
Yeah. Let me find out how to close the door again now that I got things.
Okay. Yep.
All right, I'm ready.
Shoo.
It might have been a little bit messed up, BC. It was. Oh, right. Yeah, give us some trumpets. Beautiful.